Most men think confidence comes from success. They're wrong. It comes from one brutal rule: most people are too weak to follow. You don't need louder energy. You don't need better clothes. You don't need fake bravado. You don't need to act alpha. In fact, the men who try the hardest to look confident are usually the most insecure ones in the room. Real alpha confidence is quiet, heavy, grounded. It doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it doesn't explain itself. And thousands of years ago, the Stoics figured out exactly how to build it. Today, I'm going to show you the single Stoic rule that unlocks unshakable confidence. The kind that stays when you lose money, when people doubt you, when women test you, when plans fall apart. Not theory, not motivation. A rule you can live by starting today. And once you truly get this, you will never look at confidence the same way again. The biggest lie about confidence. Let's start with a hard truth. Most men believe confidence is something you feel first, and then you act. They think, I'll talk when I feel confident. I'll approach when I feel ready. I'll start when I feel strong. That mindset quietly destroys potential. Because feelings are unreliable. You don't wake up confident every day. You don't feel strong every day. You don't feel brave every day. If your actions depend on feelings, your life becomes inconsistent. The Stoics understood this over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Translation in modern language. Stop waiting. Stop preparing forever. Act now. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions. It's about not being ruled by them. And that leads us to the rule. The Stoic rule that creates alpha confidence. Here it is, simple and raw. Only care about what you can control. That's it. Sounds basic. Sounds boring. Sounds too easy. But almost no one actually lives by it. The Stoics divided life into two categories. Things you control. Things you don't control. That's the whole philosophy. You control your actions, your effort, your discipline, your words, your choices, your standards. You do not control other people's opinions, outcomes, luck, the past, random events, how fast success comes. Most men spend their entire lives obsessed with the second list. They worry about being liked. They worry about rejection. They worry about what people think. They worry about results. And worry kills confidence. Alpha confidence comes from placing your identity only in the first list. I control my effort. I control my behavior. I control my standards. Nothing else. When you truly adopt this, something insane happens. You become free. Why men without this rule are weak. Let me paint a picture. A guy posts something online. He refreshes. No likes. Mood drops. Another guy walks into a room. People don't notice him. Mood drops. A guy approaches a girl. She rejects him. Self-worth collapses. Why? Because his confidence was built on external reactions. External confidence is fragile. It's like building a house on wet sand. The Stoics warned about this constantly. Epictetus said, "If you want to be invincible, make no treaty with fortune." In plain English, don't tie your worth to outcomes. When you tie your worth to outcomes, you become needy. You become reactive. You become afraid. That is the opposite of alpha. Alpha energy is calm under pressure. And calm comes from internal control. What alpha confidence actually is. Let's redefine confidence. Confidence is not loudness, dominance, aggression, being the center of attention. Real confidence is, I can handle whatever happens. That's it. That belief only forms when you trust yourself. And you only trust yourself when you keep promises to yourself. Not when people clap. Not when things go well. When you do what you said you would do. That's why discipline is the backbone of confidence. Every time you go to the gym when you don't feel like it, study when you're tired, work when it's boring, tell the truth when it's uncomfortable, you deposit into your self-trust bank. Confidence is the balance. The Stoics didn't hype themselves up. They trained themselves. A story that explains everything. There was a Roman general named Gaius Marius. He came from nothing. No noble blood. No powerful family. Other generals mocked him. They called him uneducated. They looked down on him. Marius didn't argue. He didn't complain. He focused on training harder, learning tactics, improving discipline. Over time, his soldiers became the most effective army in Rome. Not because he talked big, because he was consistent. Eventually, Rome had no choice but to respect him. Marius never chased approval. He chased excellence. That Stoic alpha energy. The hidden benefit of only caring about what you control. When you stop caring about what you can't control, fear drops, overthinking drops, anxiety drops. Why? Because most anxiety comes from imaginary futures. What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if it doesn't work? The Stoics saw this as mental self-harm. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Read that again. Most of your pain hasn't happened. It exists only in your head. When you shift focus to action, what can I do right now? The mind quiets. Silence creates power. The modern man's trap. Modern culture pushes the opposite of Stoicism. It tells men, express everything. Chase validation. Show your emotions constantly. Seek approval. This creates men who overshare, beg for attention, crumble under pressure. Strong men feel emotions, but they don't let emotions drive behavior. They observe emotions. Then they act according to values. That's the difference. The simple daily rule. Every morning, ask yourself, what is under my control today? Write 3 things. Examples. Train for 45 minutes. Work 2 hours on my goal. Eat clean. That's it. Ignore how motivated you feel, how inspired you are, how others behave. Just execute. Over weeks, something changes. You start seeing yourself as reliable. Reliable men become confident men. Why this creates attraction? Let's talk real life. People are drawn to stability. A man who doesn't panic, doesn't chase, doesn't explode emotionally, doesn't beg, feels safe. Safety creates attraction, not desperation. When a woman tests you and you don't flinch, attraction increases. When business is slow and you don't spiral, respect increases. When people insult you and you don't react, power increases. This is not because you're cold. It's because you're anchored. The difference between fake alpha and stoic alpha. Fake alpha, loud, tries to dominate, needs attention, brags, argues. Stoic alpha, calm, reserved, observant, It speaks less, moves with purpose. One is performance, the other is presence. Presence cannot be faked. It's built through self-control. The painful part nobody talks about. Following this rule is uncomfortable. You will feel ignored sometimes, feel unappreciated sometimes, feel bored sometimes. Your ego will scream. Post more, show off, get validation. That's withdrawal. You're detoxing from approval addiction. Most men fail here. They run back to cheap dopamine. Likes, flirting, attention. If you push through this phase, you step into real strength. The identity shift. Stop saying, "I want to be confident." Start saying, "I am a disciplined man." Confidence is a byproduct. Like muscle from lifting. You don't flex all day. You train. Then muscle shows up. Same with confidence. The quiet power of not explaining yourself. Stoic men don't over-explain. They don't argue to be understood. They state. They move. They let results speak. If someone doubts them, they smile. They keep working. That drives people crazy. Because most people need to be validated. When you do, you stand out. The moment everything changes. One day you'll notice. You walk into a room differently. Not because you practice posture. Not because you memorized lines. But because you know, I can handle whatever happens. That's alpha confidence. It's not a performance. It's a state of being. How to apply the rule in real life. Gym, show up even when tired. Money, save and invest even when tempted. Social, speak honestly even when uncomfortable. Dating, express interest without attachment. Work, deliver even when unmotivated. Small wins stack. Stacks create identity. Identity creates confidence. A brutal question. Ask yourself, do I respect my own word? If the answer is no, nothing else matters. Fix that first. The Stoic mindset in one sentence. I control my actions. Everything else is noise. Repeat that daily. Live by it. Why this beats motivation. Motivation fades. Discipline stays. Stoics never relied on hype. They relied on systems. Systems beat emotions. Final truth. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to fake alpha energy. You don't need to dominate. You need to become reliable to yourself. That's the real flex. That's the real power. That's the real confidence. Conclusion. Alpha confidence isn't loud. It isn't flashy. It isn't needy. It's quiet. It's controlled. It's built by caring only about what you can control and letting everything else pass like wind. Live by this rule long enough, and people will feel your presence before you say a word. Watch the next video to learn the daily habits that harden this mindset permanently.